Soldiers of the Great Nile, today victory is ours.
If he is a king, he will respect my dignity. If he is a drunk, then Persia has chosen poorly.
Where is Queen Vashti? I command her to stand before my nobles.
"500 years before the birth of Christ. The Persian Empire stretches from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces under the iron grip of one man. King Ahasuerus, the most powerful ruler on earth. And tonight, he wants everyone to know it.
Where is she? Where is Queen Vashti? I command her to stand before my nobles. Show them her beauty. Show them who rules this empire.
Your Majesty, she refuses.
She say what? That she won't come? That she won't obey her king in my own palace?
What began as a celebrations of victory would end in royal catastrophe. The king's pride had been wounded, and in Persia, a wounded king was more dangerous than a wounded lion. Queen Vashti was not merely beautiful, she was powerful. Crowned in her youth, married to the most powerful man on earth, she had ruled with grace for 10 years. But grace has limits. And tonight, those limits would be crossed.
Tell the king, I will not come. I will not display myself before his drunken nobles cannot control their cups.
Madam, the king's fury. If you refuse, he will—
Take my answer to him.
In one bold moment of defiance, Queen Vashti changed the course of history. With a single refusal, she lost everything: her crown, her throne, and her place beside the most powerful king on earth. To many, her decision looked like rebellion. To others, it looked like courage. She refused to allow herself to become a spectacle before drunken men, choosing dignity over obedience. But in the Persian Empire, disobedience against the king came with consequences. Vashti's fall created more than palace gossip. It created a crisis. The throne beside King Ahasuerus was now empty. And an empty throne in the most powerful empire on earth was not a small matter. King Ahasuerus ruled an empire that stretched from India to Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. His word was law. His power was absolute. Yet even a king with unlimited authority feared one thing: losing control. That was why Vashti's refusal wounded him so deeply. It wasn't only about pride. It was about authority. If the queen could openly defy the king and face no punishment, what message would that send to the rest of the empire? His royal counselors immediately understood the danger. They were wise, strategic men who understood power and politics. They knew rebellion does not begin on battlefields. It begins in hearts and homes. It begins with whispers. If women across Persia heard that Queen Vashti disobeyed and survived, they feared wives might begin challenging husbands. Servants might challenge masters. Governors might challenge rulers. A single act of defiance could spread like fire. So the counselors advised the king to act swiftly. Not with execution. Death would be too dramatic and could create sympathy for Vashti. Instead, they proposed something colder. Remove her crown. Erase her title. Strip her of royal authority forever. Let the empire see that no one, not even a queen, is above the king's law. King Ahasuerus agreed. A royal decree was written and sealed under Persian law, a law so powerful that once written, it could never be reversed. Messengers carried the decree across the empire, through deserts, across mountains, into cities and villages, from Sardis to Susa, from India to Ethiopia. The message was clear. Queen Vashti was no longer queen. Her story had ended. But unknown to everyone, another story was just beginning. Soon, another decree followed. This decree would change the fate of nations. The king ordered that beautiful young women from every province be brought to the royal palace in Susa. They would be gathered, prepared, and presented before the king. From all these women, one would be chosen as the next queen. Only one. For some families, This announcement brought excitement. The possibility of becoming queen meant wealth, influence, security, and honor. But for others, it brought fear. Because once chosen for the royal selection, life would never be the same. Many young women would enter the palace. Only one would wear the crown. The rest would disappear into history. And among the thousands gathered, there was one young woman no one expected to matter. She had no royal blood, no noble title, no political connections. She came from a people living in exile. She was Jewish. Her Hebrew name was Hadassah. But in Persia, she was known by another name. Her life had already been marked by pain. She lost both parents while still young. She knew grief. She knew loneliness. She knew what it meant to lose everything. But she was not alone. After her parents died, her cousin Mordecai raised her as his own daughter. He became her protector, teacher, and guide. He taught her the history of her people. He told her about Jerusalem, the city of their ancestors. He reminded her that though they lived in exile, they were still God's people. He taught her faith. And now, as Esther prepared to enter the palace, Mordecai sensed something unusual. Something bigger than politics was unfolding. He believed destiny was moving. But destiny often comes disguised as uncertainty. So Mordecai gave Esther one important instruction. Hide your identity. Do not tell anyone you are Jewish. Do not reveal your heritage. Keep your true identity secret. This was not because he was ashamed of who they were. It was because he understood the danger of prejudice and politics. Being in exile could become a disadvantage in the palace. So Esther agreed. She would carry two identities. Outwardly, she would be Esther, a Persian woman. Inwardly, she would remain Hadassah, a daughter of Israel. Two names, one secret, one destiny. Mordecai told her something that would shape the rest of her life. Perhaps you were brought here for a reason. Perhaps this is bigger than becoming queen. Perhaps heaven is preparing something. Neither Esther nor Mordecai fully understood what lay ahead, but both sensed this moment mattered. And so Esther entered the palace. Not with arrogance, not with ambition, not with the hunger for power. She entered with quiet grace. And though no one around her knew it, heaven had already positioned her. Inside the palace, life was unlike anything Esther had known. Luxury filled every room. Marble floors reflected golden torchlight. Perfumes filled the air. Silk curtains moved gently. Jewelry glittered in every corner. It was beautiful, but beneath the beauty was pressure. Competition filled the atmosphere. Every candidate knew the truth. Only one would become queen. The preparation period lasted an entire year. 12 months of treatments. 12 months of oils, perfumes, cosmetics, and beauty rituals. Each woman received the finest care in the empire. Persia believed beauty could be perfected through preparation. The women were trained not only in appearance but in presentation. How to walk, how to speak, how to smile, how to impress a king. Many candidates focused on one thing: standing out. Some competed fiercely. Some became proud. Some fought for attention. Some demanded more jewelry, finer clothes, and better cosmetics. But Esther was different. She did not compete. She did not boast. She did not manipulate. She remained humble, quiet. She treated servants with kindness. She listened more than she spoke. She did not chase approval. She carried a peace that others could not understand. Even the palace attendants noticed. There was something unusual about her. She did not radiate desperation. She radiated confidence without pride, strength without arrogance, beauty without vanity. Esther trusted something greater than appearances. She believed if she was meant to rise, no amount of force could make it happen faster. And if she was not meant to rise, no amount of striving could change that. So she remained herself, humble, faithful, patient. Then the year ended. The day of selection arrived. One by one, the women entered the king's presence. Each came with her own strategy. Some relied on beauty. Some relied on charm. Some tried elegance. Some tried seduction. Yet none moved the king. King Ahasuerus had seen beauty before. Beauty alone was not enough. He rejected candidate after candidate. Though many were attractive, something was missing. They were beautiful on the outside, but lacked the inner quality he desired. Then Esther entered. Everything changed. The room shifted. The atmosphere changed. The king looked up, and for a moment, he was silent. Esther did not enter like the others. She did not beg for approval. She did not perform. She simply stood, graceful, dignified. There was strength in her silence, humility in her posture, confidence in her presence. She carried herself like someone who belonged, and the king noticed immediately. Something about Esther was different. She possessed beauty, but more than beauty, she possessed presence. She had the rare ability to command attention without demanding it. King Ahasuerus saw what no one else fully understood. He saw a queen. In that moment, the search ended. The throne that had remained empty was empty no more. The king reached for the royal crown. The same crown once worn by Vashti. The symbol of power, authority, royal destiny. He placed it upon Esther's head. And with that act, everything changed. The orphan became queen. The exile rose to royalty. The forgotten girl became the most powerful woman in the empire. Queen Esther had risen. The palace erupted in celebration. Music filled the halls. Torches burned brightly. Nobles celebrated. Servants rejoiced. A royal feast was declared. The empire had a new queen. King Ahasuerus, once consumed by rage and pride, now appeared gentle and pleased. Peace had returned to the throne. Or so it seemed, because beneath the celebration, a secret remained. Esther still hid her identity. No one knew she was Jewish. Not the king. Not the nobles. Not the court. The crown sat on her head. But hidden truth still lived in her heart. And secrets in palaces rarely stay hidden forever. Though Esther now wore royal robes, danger was closer than she realized. The celebration masked a growing darkness. The empire looked strong. The throne appeared stable. But shadows were gathering. A threat was rising. One that would soon challenge Esther's courage, faith, and identity. She did not yet know his name. But history would remember him. His name was Haman. A dangerous man. Ambitious. Proud. Power-hungry. He desired more than authority. He desired worship. He wanted everyone to bow before him. Everyone. But one people would refuse. And that refusal would awaken hatred. Not against one man. Not against one family. Against an entire people. Against the Jews. Soon Esther would face the greatest challenge of her life. Would she remain silent and protect herself? Or reveal her true identity and risk everything to save her people? That question had not yet arrived. But destiny was moving. The girl Mordecai raised, the orphan called Hadassah, the queen called Esther, had been positioned for more than luxury, more than status, more than power. She had been placed for purpose. A throne was once in crisis. Now a queen had risen. But the true test was still ahead. Would Esther be strong enough? Would she be brave enough? Would she risk everything when darkness came? Because sometimes the crown is not a reward. Sometimes the crown is preparation. Preparation for sacrifice. Preparation for courage. Preparation for war. And in Persia, while kings sleep, queens must awaken.